Testing, testing. You guys up on the mic? Alright, shalom. Shalom. Let's get it. A little bit of time. It's a nice day today, nice weather. Probably gonna be a good, nice little 75, 78. Nice little weather today. Where's everyone at? Are they late or what? About to start in like 2 minutes. If you guys are on, say shalom. Meantime, I'll just thank the Almighty. Thank the Almighty for today. Thank the Almighty for the Zooms, phone calls we get with people. Gia! Gia, you fell off. I know you ain't on. Shalom. Shalom, everyone. Angel. Gia, you fell off. You were supposed to do a phone call yesterday. What happened? You went to sleep or what? Definitely, I thank the Almighty. You know, He's moving me as far as development further. Not only just in maturity in the Word, but just in life. I definitely give the praise, the glory, and the honor. I thank the Almighty for, you know, the food, the raiment, the roof over my head, my children's health, you know, my family's health. Thank everyone that we've been working on, and the Almighty, the phone calls, the Zooms, the fellowship. Appreciate all those people trying to get into the body as well as that are in the body. Appreciate all those people. It's a major blessing. So I think thank the Almighty for that. Every week, make every week count. Especially you men out there, make every week count. Make progress every single week. Do due diligence. How much time we got? A little bit more time. Yeah, I was talking to the brothers, I think a couple of days ago, like after the Sabbath, like once the Sabbath is over, I do homework till like 10. I'm studying, figuring out other ways to make money, or I'm studying, learning different things I'm doing right now in school right now. And after I study, you know, and it's weird because, you know, we get off work and then we don't want to do anything. Some people pick up a beer, some people pick up a video game, some people do everything else. But when we used to go to school, you go to school and you get back and you do homework. Go to school, get off, do homework. And it's like, hey, us men, hey, if we have to get a second job after our first job, if we have to start educating ourselves to develop a different skill set that produces more money, hey, just because we get off the 8 hours of work, it's still game time. If we want to succeed, it's still game time. You know, we got to keep pressing. You know, if you can't go 6 months without working for an emergency, then hey, maybe you need to keep pressing. Have some money stashed in the bank. Have some money for a good deal. You might see a good deal on a vehicle, or a good opportunity and a good investment. You know, have some money in the stash. You know, I seen this really good deal happen like 2 days ago. You know, and it's like I couldn't really I took advantage of it a little bit, but I couldn't take too much of it, simply because, you know, I'm getting ready for certain things and I need to allocate money for other things. But I definitely thank the Most High, and even have that mindset to always grow and mature as a man, always increase my value, you know, and whether spiritually or financially or physically, you know, always increase my value, always want to take the lead, always lead in my house the right direction, always lead in true Hebrews United the right direction. So definitely thank the Almighty for that. Never want to get stagnant. Keep those convictions sharp. Don't drop no standards. So, all right, that's about time. Cool. Let's get into the book. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Let's do it. Welcome to True Hebrews United, Lord Yeshua. This should be love, holiness, instructor, discipleship, drill sergeant. I'm about to get into the book as usual. Definitely give all honor to the Almighty Yah through His Son Yeshua Mashiach. Definitely the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the teachers, the elders, the bishops, and the deacons. That's really pushing the line. Really pushing the line. Not like these people that's teaching on Facebook and not really trying to go all out and really take the ministry. That they just teach and do their little bit and not really trying to pick up the gospel and run as a minister. Not not the part-time ministers, not the National Guard and whatnot. No, I'm talking about people that's really in the trenches, pushing the line, really care for souls, really want people to be saved. All the brothers and sisters, keeping the Almighty's commandments, statutes, judgments, precepts, and ways. Appreciate you. Hey, it's a tough walk sometimes, and we have to get through it. We have to get through it, and sometimes we have some cruise control months or years, where you're just living holy. You got favor on the job site. There's no turmoil, but sometimes you get laid off. You get laid off. Hey, I got to take this day off, this day off, this day off. I told you guys, like these feasts, they all land on a work day. So 4 weeks straight, I got to take one day off. A lot of employees don't like that. When they don't have power over you and they want to say, hey, you got to put in this form and get it approved. Whether it's approved or not, I got to take these days off. It's a holy day. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do it in a timely manner. I'll follow your process. But if you deny it, I'm taking the day off. So be it. And really just having that faith that the Most High is a provider. It says He gives us the ability to establish wealth and really seek the Most High in all things. So definitely all those brothers and sisters keeping the Almighty's commandments. Hey, I definitely give a shout out. It's tough. It takes something to be a brother or sister. It takes something. Everyone wants to be saved, but no one's willing to make the sacrifice. No one's willing to make the sacrifice, So everyone wants to be saved. No one willing to make the sacrifice. It's like, a man and a woman. Woman, say she's overweight. She wants a high value guy. She needs to make the sacrifice to compete with the rest of the women that's competing for the high value guy. And a man, you know what I'm saying? You broke, living with your mom or whatever, and then you want some dime piece or whatever. You want some top-notch woman that's got a good head on, so strong in the Almighty. If she's strong in the Almighty, that in and of itself, she ain't dealing with a dude that's not about nothing. She's not dumb. It has nothing to do with being a gold digger. But if she's really on her game and really serving the Most High and living holy, she ain't messing around with some knucklehead that's no good for nothing. They ain't going nowhere in life. They ain't going to lead her nowhere. So, it's the same thing. He'll have to level up. He'll have to muscle up. But most men don't want to make the sacrifice. Everyone doesn't want to be, they want to be financially stable, but they don't want to get a better paying job. They don't want to improve their resume. They don't want to do what it takes to get more out of life. You want to get what the 99% is getting, then do what the 99% is doing. But you want to level up and get more out of life and live life and not survive life. Hey, you got to do what the 1% is doing. And they're not playing around living paycheck to paycheck. They're applying themselves. So it's the same thing with salvation. Hey, we gotta be we got to be in the trenches. We got to really dedicate time to the Most High, really seek Him in all things, because that's the only way you're going to make it. There is no cruise control all the way into the Most High. You're going to have to keep taking steps forward. The Almighty will give you a couple of good months, but some trial will come your way. You will go through some kind of fire. We're going to get into that. Matter of fact, let's do it. So with all that said and being done, also, I thank all the people on the Facebook and YouTube. Hey, I love you guys. I want you guys to make it into the kingdom. If you're just new to this, go to the YouTube channel as well. All the videos are on there. We got some playlists on there. Check out Foundation Salvation. Watch the whole series. I got some Babylon series on there too as well. And yeah, check that out. Really run with that and subscribe and whatnot. Here, thank you all Facebook that share the videos, that really comment on the videos and really try to push this. Hopefully it gets recommended to the right people that want to be saved. So with all that said being done, let's let the fingers do the walking and the scriptures do the talking. Let's get it. Give me Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15. I'm going to slow down the pace a little bit, but I'm going to read this one pretty fast because I got to read almost the whole chapter. So Genesis chapter 15, let's get it. After these things, the word of Almighty came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not. Oh, wait, you guys got it? Unless someone That way I don't go too fast. Praise the Almighty. Let's get it. Let's start it. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. After these things, the word of the Almighty came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, I am thy shield and thy exceedingly great reward. And Abraham said, Almighty Yah, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abraham said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of the Almighty came unto him, saying, that this shall not be thy heir, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and looked towards heaven, and tell if the stars can be numbered, able to be numbered. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. And he believed the Almighty, and it was counted on him for righteousness. So I'll keep reading, actually. It was counted on him for righteousness. And he said, lo, here, whereby shall I know I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all this, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, know surely that thou sight shall be a stranger land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom thou shalt serve, I will judge, and afterwards they shall come up with great substance. And thou shalt go unto the fathers, and go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the fourth generation shall thou come hither, and again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went up, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between these. In the same place the Almighty made a covenant with Abraham unto the seed that I have given thy land, and the river of Egypt, and a great river, and the river of Ephraimites, and the Kenites, and the Kizzites, and the Chemonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So he made two promises. One is that he'll give them a seed, and two, the one scripture I want to hit on is that he'll be blessed. He'll give him that land. He'll die in a good old age. So he gets this blessing, right? The Almighty gives Abraham this blessing. So let's get with chapter 12. I'm going to read chapter 12, verse 1. Chapter 12, verse 1. Let's get it. And the Almighty said unto Abraham, get thee out of the country, from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into the land, and I will shew thee, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So once again, he gets this promise, or he gets this blessing. But he says, hey, you need to go to the land that's not yours. So let's keep going. And Abraham departed, and the Lord spoke unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all the substance that they had gathered, and their souls that they had gathered in Haran. And they went forth into the land of Canaan, into the land in Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land, and the place of Sichem, and the place of Morab, and the place of the Canaanites was then in the land. And the Almighty appeared unto Abraham, said, unto thy seed I will give this land. And they builded, and there he builded an altar unto the Almighty who appeared unto him. And he moved from thence and went into the mountain of the east coast. There we go. East of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Haran on the east. And there he built the altar unto the Almighty, and called upon the name of the Almighty. Abraham journeyed and still towards the south, and there was a famine in the land. And Abraham went down to Egypt to sojourn there, but the famine was grievous in the land. So we'll stop right there. So he's got a promise to receive a blessing. I'm going to show you the pattern, but I'm breaking this down because I'm jumping back and forth. So you'll have to, people that read their Bible every year, like I always teach, you'll understand the whole gist of it. So he gets this promise, but for him to get this promise, he says, go into a land that you've never been to. So that's already a trial already within itself. So he's going into a land. It wasn't like he has MapQuest. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like there was gas stations. When you're going a journey out, and I need to go 5 days, 10 days journey, I don't know if there's going to be a well on the way. I don't know if there's going to be a river on the way or anything. upon a source of water, a source of food. I could bring my food with me, and if I'm rich, I have camels and whatnot, I bring as much as I can. But so he's going on this journey to a land that he's never been to, none of the people with him's ever been to, but he's trusting the Most High. Then in the midst of his journey of him receiving this blessing that the Almighty told him to, there's a famine in the land. There's a famine in the land. So I want to point out that just because we will receive a blessing does not mean we're not immune for suffering loss or for persecution or for adversity. Even though we're going to receive a blessing, there was always something we're going to have to go through to get to that blessing. But let's keep going. Give me Genesis 22. We'll start at verse 1. Genesis 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that the Almighty did tempt Abraham and said unto Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer thee for offering for a burnt offering upon the mountain which I tell thee. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and he took his young man with him, and Isaac his son, and he clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went into the place the Almighty had told him. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young man, Abide ye here with the donkey. I and the lad will go up to worship and come unto you again. So even though he had to sacrifice unto the Almighty, but he said, Hey, I'm going to go worship. So we're going to go to the place where he's about to strike his son dead, because the Almighty wanted to know that you put me before everything. This is why he says, if you love me more than mother or father, sons, daughters, lands, houses, all this stuff, you're not worthy of me. Another scripture says, if you love anything more than me, you cannot even be my disciple. The love that you have for the Most High, it has to be like almost like you hate. I love my wife and my kids and whatnot, but if you compare the love I have for them to the love I have for the Most High, it'll be like I hate them. It'll be the number will be 0.000001 compared to how much I love the Most High. It'll be like a negative number. And you'll be like, man, it looks like you hate them. No, I just love the Almighty, and it exceeds far above the love that I have for my natural family members. So let's keep going. Let's go with verse 16, same chapter. And he said, wait up. All right, verse 15. And the angel Almighty called Abraham out of heaven the second time, and he said, Behold, and he said, By myself I have sworn, said the Almighty, for behold, thou hast done this thing, and thou hast withheld thy son, not withhold thy son, only thy only son, that in this blessing I will bless thee, and I will multiply thee, and multiply thy seeds as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall be possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. And that's how the Gentiles got into the kingdom. Shall be blessed, and because thou hast obeyed my voice. So once again, make sure everything's good. So once again, before he received a greater blessing, now all the nations of the world are going to be blessed. This is how the Gentiles got in, through Abraham, because you have to have the circumcision made with hands now. He made a covenant of circumcision, but now you get the circumcision made with hands, and this is how the Gentiles were able to get into the kingdom. But before that blessing came, there was a trial, or there was adversity. He had to sacrifice his son. And what happens is we want to receive this blessing. We strive to receive this blessing. So before that blessing comes, something will come. Whether the wicked one comes, where the Almighty is trying you by fire, some adversity will come your way, and you got to come forth and pass this test. You got to come forth and keep pushing. But most people fail. It's always, I see where if people would have just tried just a little bit harder, they would have got that diploma, or they would have got that degree, or they would have made, it's always, man, I'm done, I'm tired, I'll break. And a trial will come your way. You're serving the Most High, where there's a loss of a family member, where there's a job loss. These will come your way because you're trying to stand up for the gospel, and then they just falter. They just fall away. And the blessing is right around the corner. I'm not here to be a prosperity preacher. I'm showing you that it is almost impossible to receive a blessing from the Most High without adversity coming your way. So if you understand this concept, you understand that, hey, I'm working for salvation. I'm working for the greatest gift you could give any person on this planet is eternal life. And so then that means by default, I know that I will have to go through some adversity to get to the blessing. I would have to go through that to get to the blessing. So let's keep going. Give me Genesis 26. Genesis 26. And I will share some personal news, because today I haven't shared the news last Sabbath, so I will deal with the news. Praise the Almighty. Let's get some, while you guys get Genesis 26. Read some comments. Praise the Almighty. Shalom. Shalom, Elon Bradley. Cool. Genesis 26. We're going to start at verse 1. Genesis 26. And there was a famine in the land besides the first that was in the days of Abraham, and Isaac went unto Amalek, king of the Philistines. So there was a famine in the land. Now Abraham ended up having Isaac, so the promise came to pass. He ended up having Isaac. He didn't sacrifice Isaac. Isaac ended up living. The angel stopped him. There was a ram. He said the Almighty himself will give himself a sacrifice, which he ended up doing through Yeshua Mashiach. But let's keep going. And the Almighty appeared unto him. He appeared unto Isaac, said, Go not down into Egypt, but dwell in the land which I tell thee, and sojourn in the land that I will be with thee. So the Almighty says, I will be with thee, I will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give it unto thy seed all the countries, and thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Once again, this is how the Gentiles got in. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my commandments and my statutes and my laws. So we know there is commandments, statutes, and laws even in the time of Abraham, even before the law came on the scene. It's not a coincidence that they never sacrificed a pig unto the Most High. They knew what they could and could not sacrifice to the Most High. They knew about building an altar unto the Most High. They had commandments, statutes, and judgments back then. It just wasn't to the extent of the law that Moses gave the people. So, all right, and Isaac dwelt in Gerar. So the Almighty comes and say, check this out, man. I'm gonna bless you. I know you want to leave. Stay right here. I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to take care of you, right? That's cool. Now let's read right again. Go to verse 12. Verse 12. Then Isaac sowed. He's like, all right, the Almighty want me to set up shop here. All right, I'll stay here. So the Isaac sowed in that land and received the same year 100-fold, and the Almighty blessed him. So, Almighty's kept in his promise. He's going to bless him. And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. For he had possessions of flocks and possession of herds and great store of servants, and Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father servant have digged up the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines have stopped them and filled them up. And there was probably a lot of wells. Since he had a lot of cattle, he probably had quite a bit of wells, not just one, right? So once again, adversity coming his way. And Amalek said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than thee. Then you got people saying, leave. Get out of here, right? Let's keep going. And Isaac departed thence and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of his father, and called the names after the names which his father had called them. So they stopped them and they changed the names. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley and found there a well of spring water. And the herdman Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdman, saying, This water is ours. And he called the name of it was Basek, because he strove with him. So once again, he digged another well to set up shop with the blessing that the Almighty gave him, and other people came and took those wells. So let's keep going. And he digged another well and strove for that also, and he called the name of that Siton. So this is the third time he's trying to set up shop. Now the Almighty said, I have a blessing for you. But before he was able to enjoy that blessing, adversity came his way. So let's keep going. So he strove. So this is the third time he's setting up shop and using manpower to dig wells. It was no little auger or nothing. Nah, they had to hand dig those wells. And guess what? Some people came and took them, or they plugged them back in with dirt. So let's keep going. Verse 22. And he removed thence. So he had to leave again and digged another well. And for that they strove not. And he called the name of Reboth, and he said, For now the Almighty have made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence into Beersheba. So now the fourth time of him trying to set up shop, the Almighty made a way for him. He received the blessing. He was able to set up shop, and he went to Beersheba. But you see that the Almighty says, I'm going to be with you. So the Almighty was with them the whole time these people were coming against him and taking stealing his wells and refilling his wells with dirt. The Almighty was still with them. He still had the blessing coming his way, but he had to go through the trial of fire. Now, at any given time, he could have said, how is it the Almighty said he wants me to be here? He wants me to set up shop, one, there's a famine in the land, and two, every place I go to dig wells, maybe it's not the will of God. Maybe is the Almighty even with me? There's so much doubt that could have came in that. But he kept pressing. I know what the Almighty told me. I know what I'm working for. I'm working that my seed will be multiplied as the stars of heaven. That eventually my seed will own all these lands and these Philistines and these Canaanites and the Amorites and the Hittites and Jebusites. They're going to be dispersed out of this land, and I will dwell, and my seed will dwell in this land. This will be my land eventually. And he kept pressing. And finally, bam, the breakthrough came through. And this is what happens because say one, you're doing good. Say two, now it's the third time. You're like, man, I know he told me not to go to Egypt, but you know what? I'm just going to go to Egypt. This is the third time. But he kept pressing. And the fourth time, the Almighty made a way for him. And this is how it is with our walk, because sometimes you hit adversity after adversity after adversity. Shut door here, shut door there. Get in a relationship. That fell, this fell, whatever that may come your way. Heartbroken, depression, mom died. Stuff will come your way, but we're working for the blessing. We know what the Almighty has for his people that keep his commandments and do those things pleasing in his sight. And so we can't let anything get us off our steadfastness. Let's keep going. Go ahead and give me Genesis 41. Genesis 41. Some of this I'm skipping, so you guys got to go back and read the whole story so you'll have a full understanding of how I teach. I always teach read the Bible every year. 3 chapters every day, 6 chapters on the Sabbath. You'll finish roughly in 11 months. Read the Bible every year. Read the Bible every year. There's no excuse. As big as this Bible looks, it's a small book. You can finish it in 11. I normally, not boasting, most of the time I finish it in like 8 months. And then I study other books, not other weird false prophecy books. I study like the history, when we left and fled into Africa, things that support the scripture. A lot of its definitions, like we don't use holy, use kodesh. We don't use amen. You say let it be so or so be it and whatnot, because you know where those words come from. So I study things that support the Bible, not no extra weird books out there. I just stick to the script with that, but definitely so I can bring more to the table when I teach. So Genesis chapter 41. Let's get it. Start at verse 25. It says, and Joseph said unto Pharaoh, this is Joseph saying to Pharaoh, this is when he interpreted the dream, but I'm going to show you something. The dream, Pharaoh, is one. The Almighty have shewed Pharaoh, what is he about to do? 7 good kinds or 7 years, and 7 good years or 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind, it came up after the 7 years, and the 7 empty years blasted the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This thing which hath spoken unto Pharaoh what the Almighty is about to do, and sheweth unto Pharaoh, behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout the land of Egypt, and there shall rise after them 7 years of famine. All the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine follow, for it shall be very grievous. For that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, because it is established by the Most High. The Almighty will shortly bring it to pass. And therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land. And let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers of the land, and take a 5th part of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of plenteous, and let him gather all the food of those years, and come and lay up the corn in the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep it for food in the cities, that the food shall be in store in the land of Egypt 7 years of famine, and shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And this thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servant. And Pharaoh said unto his servant, can we find such a one that is a man of whom the Spirit of the Almighty is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as so much as the Almighty have shewed you all these, there is none so discreet and wise as thou. Thou shalt be over thy house, and over all the word shall thou all my people be ruled. Only thou, and only in the throne I will be greater. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And took off his ring off his hand, and put it on Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures and fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried out, bow the knee. And he made him rule over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift his hand or foot in the land of Egypt. So he got promoted. Joseph got promoted to second in command over a whole country. That is like you being vice president. You do something and they make you vice president. No election, none of this, no campaigning. You're vice president off top. You're second in command. Let's just say if the president had that much power and they weren't puppets, right? So how did he get to this point? How did he get to this point where he was second in command, where the Almighty blessed him that way? Let's go back. Go ahead and give me Genesis 37. My Bible broke today. Kind of disappointed. Because, like, you know, when a good portion of your Bible breaks out, and it's not really like, it's a basic Bible, but a lot of my highlights is in here. And it's like, now I got to start from scratch and find another Bible and transfer the highlights, and it's just kind of annoying. It's like losing a phone and not having it backed up on the SoundCloud and got to re-get numbers and everything. It's kind of, you know what I'm saying? I want to have my stuff on the cloud anyways, but. So let's keep going. Genesis 37. Start at verse 27. Genesis 37, verse 27. Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh, and his brethren were content. Then they passed by the Midianite merchant, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So his brothers was envious against him because he was a dreamer, and they felt that he thought he was better, and mainly because his father wasn't dealing in partiality, and he gave him a special coat, and his father liked his son and treated him above the other ones, so they envied him and whatnot when they should have really dealt with the father for that. But so they end up selling Joseph. At first they were going to kill Joseph, but they ended up selling him into Egypt. So let's keep going. So now, before he became second command in Egypt, he got betrayed by his brothers and he got sold as a slave into Egypt. Let's keep going. Give me 39 verse 1. 39 verse 1. And Joseph was brought down in Egypt into Potiphar, and the officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, Egyptian, brought in the hands of Ishmaelites, which he brought down here. So he was a slave. And the Almighty was with Joseph, and he prospered him, and he was in the house in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Almighty was with him, and that the Almighty made all that he did to prosper in the way. And Joseph found favor in his sight, and served him, and he made him overseer over all his house and over all that he put under his hand. So he's under a pretty wealthy guy because he was the captain of the guard. But the Almighty blessed him. He received the blessing after he got betrayed by his brother. The Almighty was still with him, and the Almighty was with him when he got betrayed by his brother. He still had a blessing coming his way. So let's keep going. Verse 5. In the past, from that time that he made him over the house and over all that he had, the Almighty blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of the Almighty was upon all that he had in the house of his field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew what he had, and saved the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that this master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused, and he said unto his master, Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath into my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? He wasn't even worried about his master. He said, I can't sin against the Most High. I can't even sin against the Most High like that. Let's keep going. And it came to pass that she spake day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie with her or to be with her. And it came to pass about that time Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the man in the house within. And she caught him by the hand and said, Lie with me. And he left his garment with her and fled, and he got him. And it came to pass that she saw that he left his garment in her hand, and he fled forth. She called upon the man of the house and spake them, saying, See, have he brought this Hebrew unto us to mock us? And he came unto me to lie with me, but I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass when he heard it, he lifted up his voice and cried, and left his garment with me and fled. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came. And he spake the words according to him, saying, This Hebrew which thou hast brought into the house came unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as he lifted up his voice, and I cried and left the garment. But I'm going to jump down to verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison in the place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in prison. And the Lord was with Joseph and shewed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So now, him living righteous. Now remember, during this time, he's going to be second in command of all of Egypt. So now he gets put into prison. Not only he gets sent as a slave, now he gets put in a prison. In the time of this prison, he interpreted a dream of a baker and a butler, and the dreams came to pass. So he said, hey, remember me. But they forgot him. The one that lived forgot him. So let's keep going. Chapter 1. Give me Genesis chapter 41. Next chapter. And it came to pass at the end of 2 years, behold, Pharaoh dreamed a dream, and he stood by the river, and there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine that fat-fleshed, and they fled in the meadow, and behold, 7 other kine after them out of the river, ill-favored and lean, and stood upon the kine upon the brink of the river. And the ill-favored and lean flesh kine did eat up the 7 well-favored fat kine. So Sarah awoke. So this is where he gets the dream, and Joseph ended up interpreting. So he goes to prison. We don't know how long he's in prison. He runs into a butler and a baker. He interprets the dream. He tells the one that survived, remember me. He forgot. So Pharaoh ended up getting a dream after 2 years after that happened. So he was at least in prison past 2 years. He says, yeah, there was a person that interprets dreams. He comes, get brought, interprets the dream for Pharaoh, and now he's second in command. But for him to get to second in command and rule all of Egypt, he had to get betrayed by his brother, sold into slavery, sent into prison, and then end up interpreting a dream and being second in command. During that whole time of his adversity, he could have just gave up on the Most High. Like, man, I'm sitting in here in prison. I didn't even commit adultery and sin against the Most High, and now I'm in prison for years. Or I didn't do nothing, and now I'm sold into slavery. All this time before he had a blessing coming his way, he was going through adversity. And this is why we have to be steadfast in our walk with the Most High. We have to understand the patterns that the Almighty has. He's going to try he did it to Abraham. So why won't he try us? We got to be patient. We got to be long suffering. The Almighty is not dictated by our time. When he decides to bless, he bless. When adversity comes our way, he decides how long we go through the storm. Whenever he brings a tornado to destroy houses or a fire, he decides. He decides when that tornado is going to leave Florida or leave wherever those places. He decides that. It's nothing we could do to stop a huge mile-wide tornado coming and destroying houses and whatnot. There's nothing they could do to stop that. He decides when that happens. So we have to understand that these things will come our way. But hey, you know what I'm saying? Keep pressing, keep striving. The Almighty will make a way. Let's keep going though. I'm gonna give the shout outs real quick though. Shout outs to, praise the Almighty. Shout outs to Majori, Kovesh, Johnny, Ethan, Zanayan, Militant, Perez, Katura, Zahara, Kamari, Ariel, Nava, Kasheth. Shout out to all you people. I forgot the shout outs to last week and whatnot. So praise the Almighty. So shout outs to them. Shout outs to people. I got someone that this person I know. I ain't saying no names. I ain't giving no blames. They know he has some people that live with him. They know that he doesn't cook on the Sabbath, so they ate his Sabbath food. They ate his food on the Sabbath. So he comes up thinking, okay, I got some food to last me because of Sabbath, because there's no bacon, there's no cooking on the Sabbath, there's no kindling on the fire, no nothing, right? And then your straight roommates ate your stuff. Man, that has to suck, because and then you be starving. I remember one time I forgot to buy water before the Sabbath. I only had 2 water bottles. I was struggling. But let's keep going. Exodus, give me Exodus chapter 3. Exodus chapter 3. Praise the Almighty. Let's get it. So Exodus chapter 3. And then we're going to deal with the last one. Exodus chapter 3. And we're going to start at verse 7 and 8. Exodus chapter 3, verse 7 and 8. And the Almighty said, this is Exodus chapter 3, verse 7 and 8. And the Almighty says, I have surely seen the affliction of the people which are in Egypt, And I heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of the land of a good land, a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hittites and the Jebusites. And therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come upon me, and I have also seen their oppression, wherefore the Egyptians oppress them. Go now, that I may send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou might bring forth the people of the children of Israel out of Egypt. So now he says, I'm going to bless these people. I heard their afflictions. I see my people. I'm going to bless them. I'm going to give them a land, a large land, a good land, flowing with milk and honey. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 8. So they get out of this land. The Almighty sends these plagues upon Egypt. He delivers them. They come through the Red Sea. So they get into this land, and guess where they hit? They hit a wilderness. On the other side of this wilderness, or we could call the wilderness, they hit adversity. On the other side of adversity is the land and the promise and the blessing that he told them he was going to get. So all they had to do is just get from point A to point B and don't mess it up. You know, so we have the choice. We could be like Isaac, which he met adversity. They kept taking his wells and filling up his wells, and they wouldn't let him survive. They want to starve these people out because they were envious, but he persevered, like Joseph persevered. But these people, our forefathers in the wilderness, they didn't. But let's keep going. Deuteronomy chapter 8. We're going to start at verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 1. See, there's a difference, and we're going to show you the last one where a person actually had perseverance and made it through. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 1. Let's get it. And it says, and all the commandments which I command thee this day you shall observe and do, and you that may live and multiply and go and possess the land which the Almighty swore unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember the way which the Almighty thy Yah led thee 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee and to know what is in thy heart, and to that thou wilt keep his commandments. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee to know that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Almighty doth man live. Now, so he suffered them. When they came across the wilderness, he intentionally made it to where there was no water, to trust that the Almighty would deliver. They went into this wilderness, and he intentionally made it to where there was no food, so you had to trust in him. For me to get to the blessing, a large land full of milk and honey, I have to go through the wilderness or adversity. And in this wilderness adversity, there will be no food and there will be no water. So what are you going to do? Are you going to have faith in the Most High? Are you going to drop? You're saying, hey, you know what? I want to do this, or I want to. And on your quest of being saved, your relationship with your mom just drops because you're trying to live holy and she's not. Your relationship with your child, your relationship with this, you lose your job. But you're working for eternal life. You're working to make it into the kingdom. And what happens is you'll be like these people in the wilderness. They fell away. They complained. They murmured. And then when it was time to actually get it, they seen the adversity, which was the giants. They seen adversity come their way, and they fled. But the blessing was on the other side of the giants. All they had to do was fight the giants. They had the Almighty do 10 plagues. They seen all these plagues. They seen the split of the Red Sea. During this time, manna was coming down from heaven every day. Manna. He made quails to come down. He has a pillar of fire every night. They have a cloud every day to know that the Almighty's with them. And then when it's time to fight, and when it's time to get past the last challenge, the last adversity, they faltered. And so then they had to be in the wilderness until all those carcasses died. And those children, their children had to inherit the blessing. And don't be like them. Be like this situation where we have right here. Last couple of scriptures. I'm going to show you something. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 1. First Samuel chapter 16. Let's start at verse 1. And the Almighty said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with thee, and go, and I send thee to Jesse of Bethlehem, for I have provided me a king among his sons. So he says, hey, you know what? I rejected Saul. You got to read that story. I'm going to set another king out of Jesse. Now let's go to same chapter, verse 10. Same chapter, verse 10. And again, Jesse made his 7 sons to pass before Samuel. Samuel said unto thee, the Lord have not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, are here all thy children? And he said, there remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come here. And he sent and brought him. Now he was a ruddy man, so he's red bone, and a beautiful countenance, and goodly look to. And the Almighty said, arise, anoint him. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of the brethren, and the Spirit of the Almighty came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose and went to Ramah. So the Almighty anointed David to be king. Once again, this is a blessing. You're going to be king over all of Israel. Let's keep going. Give me chapter 19. We're almost done now. Chapter 19, verse 1. So what ended up happening, the Philistines came, they had a giant. Everyone was scared to fight the giant because the giant wanted a one-on-one fade. If they won the one-on-one fade, the Philistines will serve them. If they lost, Israel will serve the Philistines. David heard and he rose up. He says, I'll go fight this giant. He was a young kid. Saul kind of says, you sure you want to do this? He said, yeah, I want to do this, because the Almighty hooked it up back in the day with some lions and bears. I'm giving you a quick story for you people that don't read your Bible. David comes up, he takes 3 stones, 1 stone, he smashes on the Philistines, took the giant Goliath's hand, a sword, chopped off his head, bam, he got promoted. Also during that time, a spirit came upon Saul, and he needed someone to play the flute, because music, this is why music has power, music prevented the flute. So they practiced exorcism back in the day, and even Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, before casting out demons in the Messiah's name, there was already exorcism. The Almighty gave out of every nation power to deal with demons. Demons don't have rule over people. Regardless of what they do, there's things you could do to get rid of demons. So they played the flute to get rid of the demons. So David got promoted. He ended up getting in charge over a couple of men. He won some mighty battles to where they sung a song and they said, Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000s. So he was envious, because it says, man, why one of my captains is, they're singing a song about him and they're only ascribing to me thousands. So already the king Saul didn't like that. So now let's go back on the scene, verse 19. And Saul spake unto Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. So now David's life is on the line by the king, which the king promoted him to be a captain, and he was a captain over a couple thousand, and he just made him over a small number. But David behaved himself faithfully, which made Saul fear him even more, because there was no fault he could find in him. He just dealt faithfully. He didn't overstep his boundaries. He didn't cut corners with money. He just stayed faithful, like a good servant unto the king, right? So he wanted to kill the king in verse 19. So one of David's sons helped David out and convinces his dad not to do it. Let's keep going. Chapter 20, verse 1. And David fled from Naboth, because Saul was after him, right? Saul was after him. To Ramah, and said unto John, what have I done? What is my iniquity? What is the sin before me? For thy father seeketh my life. So once again, Saul changes his mind and says, I'm going to kill David. Chapter 21, verse 1. Then David came to Nod to Amalek the priest, and Amalek was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, why art thou come? And no man is with me. And David said unto Amalek the priest, the king hath commanded me a business, which he was not telling the truth. He was actually came to that city because he was fleeing from Saul. Because Saul was coming, he was a fugitive. Every place David went, he was sending men out to get this man. And said, let no man know this business, wherefore I send thee, and what I've commanded thee, that I have appointed my servants in such a place. So once again, the next chapter, this is this man that is anointed king, fleeing for his life. Chapter 22, verse 1. David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave at Adullam. And when his brethren and all his family and his house heard it, they came down there. Everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was defrauded gathered themselves unto him, and became captain over him. And there were with him about 400. Once again, Saul ended up coming to that cave, and David spared Saul's life. But here's another chapter where David is fleeing for his life. Even though he got anointed by the prophet Samuel to be king, look at the adversity that he went through before he became king. Chapter 24. And it came to pass after Saul returned from following the Philistines, that it was told him, saying, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. And Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. Once again, David is running from his life with his 400 men now. He is running from his life. Now the Almighty is with them the whole time. The Almighty is with them. The blessing of being king and being ruler of Israel is still there. But in the meantime, he's fleeing for his life. Let's keep going. Chapter 27, verse 1. Chapter 27, verse 1 through 2. And David said, this is the last time when Saul kept breaking his promises, saying, I'm not going to kill you. And then he keeps trying to kill him. He keeps changing his mind. And David said on his heart, I know I shall now perish one day from the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me to do that I should speedily escape from the land of into the land of the Philistines, and Saul shall despair of me and seek me any more at any of the coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hands. And this is where he went with 600 men now, and he went into the land of Philistines until the death of Saul and whatnot. But it took all the way to the death of Saul for that to happen. And that was years, because he was in Philistine setting up camp, and he was destroying some people and whatnot, and they set up a whole city and everything, and he was in Philistine for a while. But before he received that promise, look at the adversity that came his way. What if that promise was salvation, but we have to go through years of adversity for us to be saved? And we have to understand that so we could maintain our walk with the Most High. If not, we're going to fall away. Like I know someone personally, recently, a situation happened. He lost his wife and his kids. And it was more so through, not like they died, but a situation happened where they got served papers, restraining order, bam, can it come home? Wife didn't want nothing to do with them, and he was keeping the Sabbath, trying to serve the Almighty. I don't know if he was in full holiness, but we were trying to, work on him, trying to get him, to come all the way to the Most High. And then next thing you know, once that happened, start breaking the Sabbath, got into alcohol, he fell away. So all it took was for the Almighty to put you in a situation where you can't see your kids and you can't see your wife, and your wife wants nothing to do with you, and now you're going to sin against the Most High. So you're going to give the Almighty the middle finger because of actions of other people. You're just going to stop keeping His commandments. So your relationship with the Most High was just conditional on what He gave you. Like, see, that's no different than us being a gold digger. Because I only serve the Almighty because He gives. He gives me a wife. He gives me a kids. He gives me this money. He gives it. But if He took this away, see, it says you could suffer loss and still be saved. My relationship ain't based upon material things that He gave me or people that He gave me my life. And yes, I love my kids, but if my kids died today, I have to have the mindset that I got to still stand. I'm like, Almighty, I don't understand, why you took my kids, but thank you for the time that you allowed me to have with them. And I'm going to keep pressing. I'm not going to let these situations in life dictate my dedication with the Most High. We really have to have that mindset. Last scripture. Let's keep going. Mark chapter 9. Verse 49. Mark chapter 9, verse 49. Let's get it. All right. So it says, for everyone shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. Salt is good, but if it have lost its saltness, wherefore were you season it? Have salt in yourselves and have peace one for another. It says every sacrifice, it says we are a living sacrifice in another scripture. And it says every sacrifice shall be salted with fire. You will go through it to make it into the kingdom. It says everyone has to sacrifice everything. You have to lose your own life. Some people have to sacrifice money. Some people have to sacrifice relationship with kids. But you got to be willing to give up everything to make it into the kingdom. You got to remember that, no matter what happens, I have to make it. No matter whatever I have to do, I need to make it into the kingdom. I have to keep in good standards with the Most High. Really have that mindset. So hopefully that was a blessing to you guys. Oh, the news. It's vaccination. They coming hard. Some of you guys, this is why I keep saying it's going to get to a point in the States to where you're going to have to sin against the Most High to stay in the States. I keep telling you, get your passport, get your stuff together, get ready to get gone. You know what I'm saying? Quit trying to stay in this. Get your money right. Get a second job. Figure it out. Do it. Oh, well, you know, money's tight right now. Go get a second job. Oh, well, quit being lazy. And this is why people's going to get stuck here. It's going to get to the point where either you sin, and even if you don't sin, it's going to get to the point where you're stuck, where you can't leave. Because will it surprise you if 6 months down the road they say, hey, you can't even leave the country unless you get vaccinated? What happens when they do that? Then what? Now you're stuck here. See, I try to tell you guys what. I'll share my story. What's happening in the Bay Area is there's Google a lot of tech jobs are saying, you know what, we don't want people on the job site. I do brand new construction, not just you coming into occupied building, and I do AC, by the way. So for the union, so it's not just coming in an occupied building, even brand new construction where they have no Google employees. They're saying we don't want no one on the job site unless they're vaccinated, because the union's real big on you have choice. They're not going to push the union to get vaccinated, but what they'll do is that contractors will say, well, we don't want no one on this job that's not vaccinated. So it could get to the point where it says, Simon, we don't have too many jobs we could send you, because most of these jobs they're going to want you to be vaccinated. And then what? So then I'm out of work. So this is an opportunity for me, knowing that this could happen in 6 months or a year or whatever, for me to find another source of income, for me to put due diligence and find another way to make money other than construction. It's getting tight. You already know what he's trying to pass, that bill that over 100 employees and whatnot, you got to get vaccinated, and it's going to make it hard. They're going to try to fine people and whatnot. I think it's like $14,000 for every infraction or whatnot for a vaccination. So a lot of these companies are going to be laying off people. A lot of these people are going to be giving them unpaid leave and are not hiring people. It's going to get to the point to where you cannot get hired unless you're vaccinated. So then what? Oh, I'll just quit my job and then go to another job, a job that's not going to receive you unless you're vaccinated. And then you'll find it where it's harder and harder to find jobs where you do not have to get vaccinated. The majority of people's jobs have more than 100 people at that company. I mean, there's a lot of jobs that have 100 or less, but the majority of people I know, you know, with the exception of construction, that company has 100 plus employees. You know, maybe not at that site, but so you might get it. Look at how many jobs you cannot get, because all the jobs that have plus 100, now you can't even apply for them anymore. And there's other small, you still have a good opportunity, but you can't even apply for them anymore. It's going to get real tight. It's going to get real tight. And when that pressure goes upon the companies and they risk losing money through infractions or fines, they're going to break, and then they're going to roll that thing down to you. Well, we can't force you, but we can't send you to any jobs. We can't hire you. It's getting tight. Get your stuff together. Get your passport. Get your chips. Do what you need to do to acquire more money. Make more money before it's too late. Get ready. Get your stuff. Get your stuff in order to where you could leave if you have to. Get your stuff in order if you could leave if you have to. So hopefully that helps you guys out. I know time is limited in the States. Time is real limited. I don't know. I'm hoping best case scenario they enforce it, and the saints of the Almighty could stay in the cracks to the point to where so many people's vaccinated that they don't really need to enforce it anymore. You know, like it just happens to be no cases or something, to now they don't even enforce that. They're like, whatever, it don't matter, the cases are so low, it's not a threat, and then that way we can have the liberty again. But we have to just go through this fire until a certain amount of the numbers, supposedly these fake numbers, get dropped, or so many people got vaccinated through their pressure to where, oh, we're not worried about the 3%. We're not worried about the little 2% or 5%. We got 95% of these people doing it. We could care less. And then now that they don't enforce it, then maybe you can get a job now. Maybe that's not a requirement, because, you know, it's like if polio's gone and no one's dying from polio, you know, that's not a prerequisite to get a polio shot or whatnot, you know, or chickenpox or whatnot. So I'm hoping that's best case scenario. I doubt it. I really think they want 100% people, 100%. So, you know, let the Almighty's will be done. If there's anything you guys want to bring on that, all right, cool. So Anyways, praise the Almighty. I agree with that. Reading some of these comments. So, I guess with all that said, be it done. Keep standing. Don't drop standards. Give the Almighty a hand clap. Shalom. Where's all you guys' comments? All right.